Good afternoon. Welcome to Game Changer number 3. Today's topic is simplifying automation. Automation is vital. We're going to be joined by John and Greg from Gosiger, who is one of the largest Takuma distributors in the U.S., to tell us about automation within reach, the load and go systems, and the VBX. They have engineered flexible automation systems that can be easily retrofitted onto your existing Akumas. During the presentation, we'll have a Q&A that you can click on and enter your questions for a live Q&A at the end. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, my name is Greg Fakes, Vice President of Sales for Gosiger Automation. Today we're going to be highlighting our standard automation within reach products. Before we do that, just a little bit of background on Gosiger Automation. We've been providing application-driven automation for over 40 years. We've grown to a team of 70 that specialize in machine tending automation. The automation within reach, John Harmon's a product manager. He'll be going into the highlights. Some of the payback that we're seeing customers receive is less than 12 months.
Hi, my name is John Harmon with Automation Within Reach. I'm the product manager. Today we're going to talk about, behind me, machine tending for lathes, the rotary cell and drawer cell load and go. They're both built to be very simple, easy to use, no robot programming at all. In both load and goes, we have, for safety reasons and accessibility, an area scanner down at the bottom left. It'll stop the robot if I get too close and slow down if I am farther away. So as an operator, for both load and goes, they work in a very similar way. We're going to be loading in parts from the back in both cases. We're going to be setting up a brand new part on the screen. And finally, we've already made sure on the robot our gripper fingers are in the right diameter. Why might you choose a rotary cell over a drawer cell? One reason is if you're running tall parts, then the rotary cell is a better choice. If you're running parts over 7 inches tall, this load and go will run up to an 11-inch tall part. And the part you see here is up to 5 inches diameter. Although if your parts are a little bit larger, then please come to us and we'll find a solution for you. The smallest part we run is 1 inch tall and a 1/2 inch diameter as standard. Again, if you're close, come to us and we'll talk. The drawer cell has one important difference when loading parts, and that is instead of multiple different templates, we have an adjustable template, one adjustable template that centers the parts. So why is that important? It's important because when we set up a new part, the operator needs to input no numbers. Not a number for the height, not a number for the diameter. That's because the robot knows where the parts are and will determine what the height is. Let's set up a brand new part. It's very conversational, very visually based. So here is our part, round or square. The finished part is also round. Do we want to load the main spindle or the sub spindle? For us, the main. If you had a bar feeder, you have the option to unload only. Now, when I pick up the part, do I want to pick up the OD or the ID? The OD. And when unloading, do we want to unload from the main spindle or the sub? We're about halfway done with setup. For us, we're going to unload the main spindle. And when we unload it, we're going to grip the OD, not the ID. This is air blow selection for the CNC, for the main spindle, and for the sub spindle. Last Do we want to hold 2 parts at once or just one? Usually 2 parts. And that's the last step. Here, we can save what we just did, or the Load and Go is smart enough to remember what we just selected if we hit next. Now we get to the main screen, very clean. It's visually showing us the 4 drawers and what states they're in. When we're ready to run, we just hit play. Now the last thing I'll show you on the screen, let's say that somebody walks into that area scanner and an alarm notification comes up. The area scanner is blocked. For every notification, we have a question mark here where we could read this, or you can hit that question mark and a video will show you what to do to get rid of that error. In this case, once you've removed the obstruction, hit reset and then hit play, and you'll see the Load and Go run right away. Once we've picked up a part, we're going to go to a regrip area each time, and this makes sure that a spring plate on the robot is close to the part and help us get a more reliable load. So here we're going to unload our part and load. This is the time that really matters, when that door is, the CNC door is open. Now the robot's out of the way, CNC door is closed, that part is being machined, and we have all that machining time to put down a part and put down a machined part and pick up a raw part. This is the VBX 160 Load and Go. This is designed for machine tending for your mills. Some of the biggest benefits here, including the really easy to use interface, is the multi-grip work holding, giving you the ability to run Op10, Op20 parts. Let's take a closer look at the multi-grip work holding. This is meant to represent the inside of a CNC machine, vice for Op10 and vice for Op20. What's patented about the multi-grip work holding is that it's not only used as a work holding in the CNC, but also for the robot to pick up parts. That's important because it allows us to run Op10, Op20 parts in an automated way. And in fact, it makes your work holding automated immediately. It's these dovetails that the robot always grabs onto. You're also going to machine your work holding just like you normally do in a traditional way. We make these machinable top jaws that are a low-cost consumable item. They're $79 for a set, so that it's not expensive and you're doing the same machining operations for your work holding. You'll notice we have some dovetail designs on the inside of these top jaws. That makes sure that they're secured down and in to be as reliable as possible. We have 2 semicircles over here to keep one side rather rigid, and by design, a swivel on the other side, because nothing is machined absolutely perfectly, and this allows the most contact area for the part when the vise closes. Let's look at what the transfer from an Op10 part over to Op20 would look like. In this case, the robot would grab the Op20 jaws, would pick up this machined part, and immediately be ready to snap into vise 2 to run Op20. This is mimicking what you would do by hand, actually, where we have a machined Op10 part where we pick up and turn over to machine Op20. It's one of the best features about the VBX. Let's talk about the rinse bucket, which comes on every VBX, which rinses off the jaws and also, through an air knife, dries off any excess coolant that might have been picked up. There's also a camera at the top of every VBX so that when you're running lights out, you can watch your robot running all night. Another thing to note is that it's important to have access to the CNC if you want to run parts manually. That's what we're seeing here. The VBX is pivoted on one corner, and it gives access to the CNC machine. When we want to close it up, then it's simple to do. We just drop a pin in, and there's no programming at all to do. So when I close this, okay, we'll just put the pin in place. There's no robot programming to do, nothing else to teach. It's very repeatable, and the robot knows where to go for Vice 1 and for Vice 2. So we have two sides of the VBX to load parts in. It can hold up to 109 parts. And if we're going to run this, for example, operators will always push forward and to the left. This clocks all the parts, and it means that the robot will know where those parts are. There's no need to teach anything. If your parts are larger, for example, that's completely fine. These are adjustable dividers that will tell you when your parts will fit 8 parts a shelf, or maybe they're larger and they'll only fit 4 parts a shelf. Now that we've loaded our parts, we load our work holding, and that's half of the steps. So now that I've physically loaded my parts in my multi-grip work holding, we virtually see all the shelves for the parts and at the top where the work holding goes. So let's just run a new job. I select the part number and the quantity. Let's run 99 parts. I get told what I need to do. Now that I've physically loaded, I need to virtually load. Okay, where did I put those Op1 jaws? I put them here. And where did I load the parts? Well, I loaded them all on this shelf, everywhere. And now we're ready to run. So now we're going to show the VBX picking up the Op10 jaws. And you can imagine we have the Op20 jaws next to it for multiple different parts. And now that we've picked up these jaws, we're going to pick up a raw part. And I'm going to stop there because, of course, we don't have a real CNC. It's important to note that we can run not just one part number, but we have slots for 8 different areas for the multi-grip work holding. So that means that if I have 4 different Op10, Op20 parts, then I can run all of them with the VBX, and I can do it one after another. I would just load Op10, Op20 jaws, Op10, Op20 jaws for all of those parts. And once I've done that, I just add a part number and the quantity that I need. Our VBXs, all of our load and goes are affordable. You can learn more information on our website at automationwithinreach.com. I want to thank you for spending time to listen to us today, and we are ready to take your questions.
Okay, I think our panelists are standing by. I hope everyone can hear me.
You're just fine, Nick.
We've got some questions coming in right now. Great job, John, there. I want to ask you, had a question come in. Can I load bar stock with a bar feeder? And I think you went into that a little bit on the controller where you shared a screen where you could click on bar feed load.
Right. So with a drawer cell or rotary cell load and go, you can use a bar feeder and unload only. So it's unloading only into the drawer cell, for example.
Okay.
To add to that, Nick, you can program the DC or RC to, if you only have a single spindle machine, you can program it just to unload and load a main spindle. If you do have a sub spindle, you could design that to load the main, unload the sub. If you had another part, you were doing a light cut on a sub spindle machine, you wanted to load the sub first and then unload the main once you've qualified the part. It has that flexibility.
Great. And I want to remind our viewers, you can click on the Q&A if you'd like to enter any questions. While we're fielding the ones that have come in, please go ahead and do that. Had a question about the options that are required, Akuma options that are required for the load and goes. Who'd like to take that?
Sure, I'll take that. The Akuma option for the drawer cell and the rotary cell load and go is an auto door, a robot interface, and normally comes standard is chuck air blow and spindle orientation if your parts need it. On the VBX 160, you just need an Akuma Think API, which is also pretty standard for recent Akumas, and an auto door as well.
Okay, and what is the lathe capacity weight? Aren't there different sizes of load and goes?
Right, so for both the drawer cell and the rotary cell load and go for lathes, there's a small, medium, and large robot. So we call that the DC1, DC2, and DC3. The smallest one will hold 2 9-pound parts or 1 18-pound part, so it covers a decent range. And the largest one will hold 2 32-pound parts as a DC3 or an RC3 load and go.
All right, I've got another question here that came in. What is the starting price point for the various units, the load and goes and then the VBX?
So I'll take that. On the load and go arena, the smaller DC1 or RC1, they started 89,900 plus 4,000 for an install. And then the VBX is 79,000 plus 4,000 for install. And that includes, for the VBX, we include 1 vise, 1 set of multi-grip, and 1 set of top tooling. So enough to get started. And we can do up to 3 vices with the VBX as well. So like if you have an op 10, op 20, op 30, we can set it up that way too.
I had a question. Can you set up a load and go to alternate between 2 lathes?
A standard load and go is built for 1 CNC. Greg can talk about some custom automation that would allow you to do all sorts of things.
Yeah, we have all options where we can do something similar to the load and go with drawer cells, but the robot would not be mounted on top of the unit. It's mounted on the floor in between the 2 machines.
Okay, here's a question came in. Do you have any loading solutions for castings? I see billet, raw stock all the time, but never castings. The castings that I use are not round or square. They're semi-square with an equal radius on each wall.
The answer to the loading the castings is we've seen castings and load castings with the load and go today. We have a customer that's running turbocharger housings with load and go, and they just developed their own templates to orient the parts before they go into the cell. So we have seen that as well. Just as standard, we're trying to do flexible, but certainly have the ability to run different castings.
By the way, we're broadcasting, taking questions, and we have viewers from probably all 14 states. It's really cool to see the response today. I want to thank you guys for attending and viewing. Here's a question, came out of Texas. you explained the Akuma options for the robotics, but what about non-Akuma machines?
So go ahead, Greg.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. It depends what machine you're talking about. For example, we have standard solutions for the BBX for FANUC control based CNCs. So long as you have an auto door and a FANUC Focus 2 controller, then those are the only requirements there. For a Haas, you need Haas that's 2004 model year or later, and an auto door. And then for the drawer cell and the rotary cell load and goes, we have other standard compatibility kits. It just depends on the CNC. So I'd invite you to reach out to us and ask what machine you're looking to automate.
John, I know there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube. I know this video will be there. Probably the best way to contact us and learn more is to contact your Hartwig sales engineer. But John, are there other videos that you might recommend?
Sure. There are some great videos on automationwithinreach.com that will show the product line, allow you to ask us questions, and your Hartwig sales rep is also a great resource to get in touch with.
Okay. All right. Here's another one. It just came in. Is the programming of the robot from the trays to the machine a setup program during install? And will the user ever need to program anything else?
Great question. So the center of the chuck for the lathe, that motion is taught at install. There's not much that we need to teach there. After that, we do not expect the customer to ever touch a teach pendant or do any robot programming. The purpose of this standard load and go automation is to make it very simple so you don't have to have a robot programmer or knowledge about robotics to make this work seamlessly.
Here's a customer who wants to automate a Mazak VTC with Mazatrol 2014 model. What do you say to that?
With the DC and RC, that likely would not be a problem, or it would not be a problem. There's robot interface that you can get for those machines from Mazak. We would have to look into the Mazatrol because, you know, again, it's either through an API or the Focus. It's like an industrial PC for the BBX. So that may be a little bit more of a challenge on the side.
What about a Mazak vertical machining center with the BBX?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We would have to confirm. It has not been done today.
Okay, all right.
Mazak and the BBX has not been integrated together.
Thank you.
With the VBX, it's primarily Akumos, FANUC control-based systems, and Haas-based.
Great. All right. I'm thinking, let's see if we got any more questions. I got a question came in here. How many load and goes do you have out in the field right now?
DC and RC were somewhere around 65. VBX, we're probably nearing 80 units.
Wow, that's quite a few. Congratulations. I know you guys have been doing automation for, I said 3 decades, but it's probably 4.
But I would say one thing, if you know, as John mentioned earlier, on these units, if you need something a little bit unique and not standard, you know, that's the beauty of having a team of 70 that we can get our engineers involved with to customize the units to fit an application if need be.
Hey, on a typical load and go installation, how long are you at the customer?
Travel Monday on site at the customer, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So 3 days, and then travel home on Friday.
So is that quick?
That's correct.
All right. So I don't know if I see any other questions at this point. Anybody on my team missed something?
Nick, a new one just popped in.
All right. Is it in the chat?
No, it's a Q&A.
Oh, here we go. Do you have a lot of customers that regularly run small quantity runs, or are most of your customers large run customers? So really, this is a question about quantities. Most people think you need large quantities to automate. This customer says, I run a job shop, and a lot of our runs are far less than 100 pieces.
Yeah. So really the automation within Reach product line is designed just for that small volume, low volume, high mix production with the flexibility to change over between the part ranges that we discussed. So that's primarily the systems are being run and going into job shops versus production shops.
And can you talk real quickly, either Greg or John, about the fingers on the robot and how easy they are to change diameters?
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about that on the drawer cell and rotary cell for lathes. The way that the gripper fingers are designed so that it's a 2-minute changeover when I do each side. It's simply 3 pins on the side of the end of arm tooling with a bolt that holds it in place. So we would loosen the bolt, move the pin to the correct diameter for your part, and then screw the bolt back in. So it's designed specifically for this high mix, low volume manufacturing.
And traditionally, we ship it with steel dowel pins, but if customers have concerns about marring their parts, we've had customers change the pins to bronze or brass or nylon, just so we're not damaging the part with the end of arm tooling.
So this question just came in. Can I add a load and go rotary style with a lathe that has a bar feed? Well, I think we did answer that. Yes.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So whether it's the drawer cell or rotary cell, the function is very similar. You might prefer the rotary if you have over 7-inch parts, for example, but they both can unload from a bar feeder.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's it for the questions, unless there's anything in the chat. I think we've completed the questions. I just want to, if anybody has anything, go ahead and send it in. As a reminder, like you guys to mark your calendars. Our next Game Changer number 4 will be on August 6th, and we're going to dive into the power of the Akuma OSP controller. So there again, we'll have a panel of experts to help answer your questions, point out the power of the Akuma OSP control. And one of the cool things to know is our panelists that will be answering your questions and sharing these things, most of them did not start on an Akuma controller. And now they see the power and the advantages. So we feel like it's truly a game changer in itself for the things that can be offered, can be utilized. In fact, a lot of our customers are probably using, a small percentage of the power, the flexibility, the freedom that is in an OSP controller. So I hope you guys will join us. You'll see invites come out for August 6th. If you have any other questions, feel free to email us, contact us. We welcome your suggestions. We hope that you value Game Changers, these webinars. We're trying to bring value and technology and things that will truly make you more productive, more profitable, and navigate through these challenging times that are game changers in itself. So thank you for joining us today, and have a great day.